She just answered a call. In Italian. The billionaire CEO froze, then whispered to his assistant, "Don't let her leave." What happened next? No one saw coming. In a luxury hotel in Milan, the morning rush was just beginning. Guests in designer suits hurried through the lobby, waiters balanced trays of coffee, and phones rang in the distance. Among the chaos stood Elena Rossi, a young waitress in a red uniform, calm, polite, invisible, or so she thought. She was finishing up breakfast service when her phone buzzed in her pocket. Normally, staff weren't allowed personal calls, but the number flashing on her screen made her heart stop. "Papa!" She stepped to the side, lowering her voice. "Sì, papà, sto bene. Non preoccuparti." "Yes, Dad. I'm fine. Don't worry." Her tone was soft, musical, like a lullaby. At that very moment, seated only a few tables away, Alexander Voss, a 32-year-old billionaire CEO from New York, was sipping his espresso, half listening to his assistant ramble about mergers and meetings. Then he heard her voice. He froze. That accent, that warmth, that melody. He turned slowly, eyes locking on Elena as she spoke in Italian. "Who is that?" he whispered. His assistant looked over. The waitress, sir." "Not just a waitress," Alexander said quietly. "Find out her name." Elena ended her call, unaware she'd just captured the attention of one of the most powerful men in the city. Moments later, the manager approached her. "Elena, the guest at table 7 wants to see you personally." She nodded nervously and approached the table. The young billionaire looked up, eyes calm but piercing. "You're Italian," he said. "Yes, sir. From where?" "Florence," she replied, unsure why he was asking. He smiled faintly, his eyes softening for the first time in days. "Florence, I haven't heard that accent in a long time." There was something about his tone, part nostalgia, part pain. He turned to his assistant. "Cancel my next meeting." "But, sir, I said cancel it." "Don't let her leave." Elena blinked. "Excuse me? I just have a few questions," he said quickly, trying to sound casual. A few hours later, Elena was asked to deliver coffee to the penthouse suite, Alexander's suite. Her hands trembled as she knocked. "Come in," a deep voice called. She stepped inside, tray in hand. The suite looked like a magazine photo. Marble, city view, sunlight spilling through tall windows. Alexander stood by the window, staring at an old, worn photograph in his hand. "You look nervous," he said. "I don't usually serve billionaires in their rooms," she replied, half smiling. He chuckled softly. "Fair enough." He turned, holding out the photo. "Do you know this woman?" Elena glanced, and her world stopped. "That's my mother," her voice cracked. "Your mother's name?" "Isabella Rossi. She passed away years ago." Alexander's expression darkened. He looked away for a long moment before whispering, "She saved my life." He told her everything. 20 years ago, before he was rich, Alexander had crashed his car on the Amalfi Coast during a storm. A young woman had pulled him from the wreck, risked her life to drag him to safety. "She sang to me," he said, in Italian. "It was the last thing I heard before I passed out." He swallowed hard. "Your mother. She didn't make it." "Did she?" Elena shook her head, tears glistening. "She never came home that night." Silence filled the room. "I'm so sorry," Alexander whispered. "I've spent years searching for her family. I owed her everything, but I could never find her." Elena turned away, fighting tears. "You're the reason she died." He didn't defend himself. He just nodded. Yes, and every good thing I've built since that night. Every company, every dollar, I built because of her. Elena tried to leave. I can't do this, she said. You've said enough. But before she reached the door, Alexander spoke again. Wait, he handed her a sealed envelope. Your mother wrote this. I found it near the crash site. I've kept it all these years. Elena opened it with trembling hands. Inside, her mother's handwriting had faded but clear. For my daughter, Elena, if you ever find this, follow your music. The world needs your voice. Elena pressed the letter to her chest, tears spilling down. She wanted you to study music, Alexander said softly. So I've arranged something. A scholarship. Florence Conservatory. Everything paid for. She stared at him in disbelief. Why would you do that? Because when you spoke today, he said, I heard her voice again, and for the first time in years, I felt alive. Days passed. Elena prepared to leave for Florence. The hotel staff whispered about her, how the mysterious waitress had caught the attention of the billionaire guest. No one knew the truth, that it wasn't about romance or fame. It was about redemption. On her last day, Alexander met her in the lobby. So this is goodbye? He asked. Maybe not forever, she smiled. You might need someone to handle your Italian clients one day. He laughed softly. Then I'll make sure I do. They stood there a moment longer. Two lives connected by fate, by loss, and by one voice that refused to be forgotten. Thank you, she said quietly. No, he replied. Thank you for reminding me what matters. Final cinematic piano, emotional outro. As Elena walked out into the sunlight, letter in hand, she felt her mother's presence with every step. And from the window above, the young billionaire watched, not as a man of power, but as a man finally at peace. Because sometimes fate doesn't knock. It calls, and if you're lucky enough to answer, it can change everything.